Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Clara, and I'll be your host for this session. With me, I have Sana Dubarry, Sustainability Advisor at Microsoft, and Nuno Joia, Head of ESG Reporting at EDP. The focus of our session today is to discuss the importance and challenges of measurement and reporting in the journey towards achieving net zero, the role it plays in guiding strategic decisions, and how technology can help companies accelerate their sustainability efforts. I'll start with a question to both of our guests today. So I'm curious to understand, what are your company's sustainability commitments? And maybe, Sana, we can start with you.
Of course, thank you so much, Clara, and hello, everyone. So I've been in my role for the past year, and I joined Microsoft 5 years ago, and I'm extremely happy to be sharing our commitments today. So at Microsoft, sustainability isn't something we do. It's actually at the core of our business. So we started our journey about a decade ago, focusing on optimizing our own operations. And it started with carbon and costs. By 2012, we were operating carbon neutral. And we quickly realized that long-term success was dependent on better organizing our data, realigning our company's vision and strategy with our sustainability goals. And in 2020, we pledged to become a carbon negative, water positive, zero waste company, and that protects more land than it uses by 2030. So in other words, a really strong focus on biodiversity. By 2050, we will remove from the atmosphere an equivalent amount of carbon to all the Scope 1 and Scope 2 emissions of our company. And we also know that progress isn't always linear. So we're being very transparent about our challenges, our learnings. We report a sustainability report on a yearly basis, and it's available online on our website. We've also discovered that for organizations of all kinds in every industry, the overarching sustainability journey to reduce environmental impact is similar. We're going on similar path, and it starts with reliably measuring impact and progress. And this is accelerated by data and digital technologies. So that's why we're collaborating with a wide ecosystem of partners to create solutions that we can use ourselves, but we also share it with others. So we know what it takes to turn ambitions into actions, because we are on this journey too. So our products, our services, our devices are built with sustainability in mind. We're also hiring talented people skilled in sustainability. And we are investing in delivering the next world-leading platform for technology solutions to solve environmental challenges, with security, privacy, and compliance in mind, of course. Our ultimate objective is to bring in a growing set of ESG, so environmental, social, and governance capabilities from Microsoft and our ecosystem of partners. And we're empowering organizations to accelerate sustainability progress and business growth.
Yeah, that's amazing. Really ambitious commitments until 2030 and 2050 too. And Nuno, now if you could share EDP's commitments, that would be great too.
Hello all. Thank you for the invitation. Well, at EDP, we have a wide variety of commitments all over the ESG landscape. We have over 50 targets that go from the governance, the strong governance that we need to have in place, to the social pillar, where we are concerned about our workforce diversity, retaining talented people, also concerned about the just transition. Just transition is a very, very important matter today when we are traveling to a more decarbonized world. just transition becomes more and more important, since coal-fired power plants are becoming obsolete and need to be decommissioned, and we are concerned about the populations where these power plants are placed, and that is one of the major targets we have. And of course, in the environmental front, environmental pillar, where there's one commitment that stands out in our targets, that it's to be, aim to be carbon neutral in scopes 1 and 2 by 2030. This is supported by a strong investment in the renewable energy sources, and also in a progressive divestment in, of course, the group coal power plants. This also needs to be worked with our supply chain, since the supply chain environmental footprint is also part of our environmental footprint in the scope 3, where we have a target of reducing by half these emissions versus 2015 by 2030 always. And we also aim to work with our clients, our customers, to provide them with efficient, energy efficient solutions, with innovative models of working, and low carbon solutions. This is one thing. The energy customer is becoming more and more aware of their future in the world and in the energy transition, and nobody wants to be connected, linked to a negative climate change. So they expect action from a company like EDP. They expect a greener energy, and that's something that we aim to deliver.
Yeah, that's so true, right? It's both customer and investor expectations that are really stepping up the game for some companies, and that's a good thing, right? The market is becoming more aware of the reality and the consequences of climate change. And Nuno, my next question is to you, and it's actually tied to what you were saying about like reporting and measuring, the importance of measuring and reporting, and having all of these commitments around reducing our scope 1, scope 2, and scope 3 emissions. I was wondering, what are the main challenges that you face in accurately measuring and reporting your environmental footprint?
That's a very good question, Clara. Well, first of all, let me start by saying this. We started reporting ESG data back in 2003, when we first and voluntarily disclosed our first sustainability report following the Global Reporting Initiative. There are other frameworks, but we chose this one because of its completeness. This is a very demanding framework and has been evolving and becoming more and more detailed. And in terms of environmental footprint, it's also one of the key issues it targets. There's also an evolution in these frameworks and this evolution is coming from recent years, and always evolving with new demands. And the new Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive that the European Commission recently delivered is even more demanding, and is one of the triggers that is, I believe, creating the need for new systems, robust systems like the Microsoft from many other players in the world, the technology world. And these are needed for companies to collect and report ESG information. ESG information is no longer something easy or simple. It has never been, but it's not something that can be done in an Excel file and then put in a report. So this is one of the main challenges, the need for robust systems and resilient that support not only the new directive, but the evolutions that are expected in the near future. And this will, I believe, be able to tackle the question of the reporting. But when you have the system, you just have the reporting question. When you ask me what's the other challenges, I would say the collection of information. Collecting information is I believe the main problem today, because systems will be developed, but collecting the information that is very dispersed, very manual, is something that is, for me, for us, one of the main challenges. We need to feed the systems with data, reliable and accurate, and we need to be this process needs to be as much automated as possible. When we look at the environmental footprint of a company like EDP, this means not only to capture emissions from the power plants or losses in the grid, but also to collect information on our supply chain and their own environmental footprint, to embed this information in our own environmental footprint that in turn will be used by our customers, like Microsoft, when they disclose their own footprint. So this is a chain that only robust systems can ensure reliability, traceability, because these are lots of information, lots of information sources, lots of calculations. It's not as simple and intuitive as people may think. So empower company with automation process is, for me, for EDP, crucial to run away from the spreadsheets and for collection and analyze and improve the quality of ESG data. This is a big challenge, and we think for all the corporates to use the technology to compile complex data with the same security as financial is today compiled. We don't have an ERP for sustainability yet. Maybe we will have in the future. This are for me the two main challenges.
That's a great segue for my question to Sana, because it's actually related to technology and how can technology be used to tackle the problems that Nuno just mentioned, right? To help accurately track and measure the environmental footprint, and also inform the development of new strategies to reach the company's goals of net zero.
I think that Nuno summarized it really well. These are really the challenges that we're seeing ourselves as well. It's the regulation that imposes new standards, and sometimes when it comes to sustainability data, there is no standards except for carbon, where now everyone is familiar with the GHG protocol, but when it comes to water, waste, it gets more complex. The supply chain is overly complex as well, so it's not just your own data as organization, but also getting third parties' data, and you can't manage or you can't measure what you don't have, right? So data accuracy is a very, very big topic. So we do believe at Microsoft, we're definitely not a sustainability specialist, but we've done our own sustainability journey, but we are a technology and data specialist. So where we can help organizations is definitely in ensuring that we provide the right technology set to help ensure that emissions are measured in a more accurate, consistent, reliable manner. I was speaking to a few customers. They were telling me that it could take up to 2 years to do a carbon reporting. Right now with CSRD, the regulatory environment, taking 2 years to do a report, it's not possible anymore. I was also reading a BCG studies that was saying that companies would produce reports with an error rate of on average 40%. For me, this is impossible. You cannot go to your CFO and your CEO and say, here's my sustainability report. But on average, there's an error rate of 40%. So really getting smarter in collecting data, it's what we call at Microsoft unifying data with intelligence is very critical for us. There is a component as well that is around getting the right infrastructure. So organizations can get more from data investments by getting the right data infrastructures and services like Azure Data Lake, Azure Synapse. But we also help organizations in achieving efficiencies faster. So we developed a solution called the Microsoft Sustainability Manager, and it's actually an extensible SaaS solution to help companies record, report, and reduce their environmental impact. So it really helps data integration, data calculation, data reporting, and really helping companies getting informed decisions around carbon emissions. We focused on carbon because this is really critical, important in terms of the regulation, and this, and also because probably organizations are more mature in terms of collecting carbon data. But in our roadmap, we will also focus on water and waste. And one thing that I wanted to insist as well is the fact that it's a SaaS platform. We allow our partners to innovate on that platform. It stands on known technologies such as Azure Data Lake, Power BI for visualization. So it's not something that is completely out of the box. And then we have published publicly our common data model. So it's really to allow companies to know what to track. So we have a common data model that is published for carbon emissions. And we also have one for water that is currently in public preview. So this is how we do it at Microsoft.
Yeah, that is great. It's really about data, right? It's fundamentally a data problem at first,
Absolutely.
and then the rest will come when we have the right set of data and we are able to generate the right insights to help us inform our strategies. And going into the strategy part of the discussion, and maybe taking this segue too, I would ask Nuno if you could share with us how you translate these goals that you just shared with us into your operations at EDP.
Very good question. I would say we act at two levels, at the strategic level and in the more operational level. At the strategic level, it's the first one. I would highlight the creation of the Environmental and Sustainability Board. This goes back to 1991. It's a long time ago. It's an independent advisory board to the Executive Board of Directors that is focused in sustainability issues. This helps to embed a little bit of the concerns around sustainability over the C-suite executives. The second highlight I would do would be our first sustainability report. Companies need to make sustainability reports or report sustainability to become aware that where are the questions, where are the issues, where are the risks, where do we need to have policies, where do we need to have concerns, and report this in a transparent way. It's something very important, and since 2003 we do this. Another important, and this one is usually a must, it's we have to have remuneration policies for the Executive Board of Directors that are linked with the performance in terms of sustainability. Since 2007, EDP has these parameters, since part of the variable component of the Executive Boards of Directors remuneration is linked to our performance in the Dow Jones Sustainability Index. It's a very holistic approach that goes to all the parts of a company, to all parts of the sustainability issues, and the board, if we have a good performance, the board gets a bigger bonus. So it's always something good. Finally, one thing is for companies to commit to the external goals, to international commitments. When we go to international commitments and we put our name there, it means we need to comply with that. We need to go and comply. In 2015, we announced a commitment to 8 of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals of the UN Agenda 2030, and we are committed to deliver. And a more operational level, we translate all of this at operational level, of course, because it needs to go and be embedded in the operation. So we need to translate our strategy into goals, and this strategy and goals into internal policies that are trained. We train our people in these policies, are disclosed, are public, and this is one of the things we usually do. And not only our workforce, we also are concerned to our contractors that we usually train into our own policies. Someone that works for EDP, for instance, when building a line in the transmission line in Brazil, needs to be aware of our own policies, of our own values, and to comply with those values. We don't want anything like child labor or forced labor or whatever, okay? Another thing at operational level, of course, is setting KPIs. Not only we have them to the board, but we also have to have KPIs at the business units level that are aligned with the corporate goals and that ensure a path that is common to all of us and helps to translate those goals, this strategy into our operations. I would say these are the main highlights.
Yeah, that is great because it's not only focused on EDP, but also on the contractors, on the partners that you work with, on your suppliers, because it's really like the domino effect that you talked in the beginning, right? It comes to the strategies that you need to implement. It's also about training your suppliers to get to the point that you want to go. So that's great. Thank you so much, Nuno. And Sana, back to you, and I was wondering, we talked briefly about how technology can help specifically on the tracking and measurements challenge, right? But I was wondering if you could give us an overview of, like, on a more broader scope, how can technology be leveraged to support companies in their sustainability journey and in reaching these goals, and maybe in having more transparent supply chains and tackling these challenges and the operational part of the strategy that Nuno just talked.
Yes, of course. And I think that, again, he summarized all of the great initiatives, and I'm very pleased to hear about all this. I think it's fascinating. I will try to do it very quickly because I see that also we're almost running out of time. So really, to summarize it very quickly, our approach is called the Microsoft Cloud for Sustainability, and it has 4 pillars. The first pillar is unifying data intelligence, and this is what I described in your previous question, Clara. And then we also have a second pillar that is building a sustainable IT infrastructure, and it's helping organizations who are working with Microsoft to identify opportunities to replace tools, systems, devices, or any technology activities in more efficient options. And in other words, it's also called green IT. There is a third pillar that was mentioned in what Nuno said, is reducing environmental impact of operations. And right now in Europe, I think that everyone heard about the energy crisis. So it's really this is an example on how to help companies in minimizing the footprint and reaching efficiencies. And then finally, and this is definitely the biggest topic, it's creating sustainable value chains. Supply chains, value chains are becoming more and more complex. We need to work in ecosystems. You mentioned the fact to work with coalitions. So it's really how can we use the technology to facilitate greater transparency, accountability through the supply chain, the value chain, ensuring transparency over raw materials, for example, from product creation to the distribution to the end life value of products or services. So this is really in short summary our 4 pillars to assist organizations to achieve their overall environmental and ESG goals.
That is great. Thank you so much for sharing, Sana. And to end on a positive note and to bring some hope for folks at home listening to us, I was wondering if, Nuno, you could share a story from EDP, maybe a successful story or achievement that you made recently, that EDP made recently.
Okay, yes, I could share one. We are proud of one thing that recently we have been doing, and it's connected with something I told you a while ago. This story about the just transition. As you know, at least in Portugal, people know Sines was the major power plant in Portugal, the biggest one, and was closed. And if it was closed and with no other concern, it would be a great impact in the economics of the village of Sines. But we did it with the just transition mindset. What does this mean? We launched a program called in Portuguese Futurativo Sines Active Future. That is initiatives to support the community around the plant in this transition, as well as the retirement and deployment of operations and of other options for employees. This program provided individualized plans around skill development based on local economy needs, such as solar system training, for instance, and for each Sines employee and contractors. Because we had not only employees, but we also had contractors and other economic companies that were around Sines power plant, that were, of course, diminished in their own turnovers and so on by our closure. EDP also created local offices to help direct and the wider population to training and work opportunities, with the social fund and psychological support available as required. This is an office that also served as a platform for a local business incubator. So we're concerned with the local economy, try to create new opportunities around typically the energy transition, and provided with also other non-governmental organizations in the region funds and support to maintain, support schools, support arts, support people to create, to avoid at least the impact of the closure of this power plant. But we are aiming to create a hydrogen hub in the near future. So in the future, people will have, again, we hope, a new place to work and to develop their own capabilities.
That is a great example, right? Because people are a huge part of the transition, and we always have to think about reskilling and ways that we can help people readapt to the transition that we are making to greener energies and to greener economies and low carbon economies. So thank you so much to both. Thank you to the folks at home that joined us today, and a big thank you to Sana and a big thank you to Nuno. I hope you enjoyed our discussion. And yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.